Devin Bush. There's a lot of eyes on Devin Bush this upcoming season, man. When you look at the Steelers and their 2022 season, there are a few names that come to mind when it comes to prove-it years or redemption years or comeback years. Devin Bush is probably honestly at the top of that list because, let's face it, last season was an abomination, honestly.
Now, last year was a very lackluster season for Devin Bush. Now, granted, he did sustain an injury back in the 2020 season,
right,
which was a torn ACL, and he was never able to really recover or get back to training because he had to rehab that knee.
Right.
And he didn't get the chance to do all that, and it just wasn't a productive season for Devin Bush. It wasn't the Devin Bush that we were used to or that we were hopeful we were going to get back from his rookie season where he was very productive.
Yeah, and make no mistake about it, the potential is still there for Devin Bush. He showcased it at Michigan. He showcased it in his rookie year. He showcased it in the little few games he played in 2020. It's just mentally and physically it seemed like he wasn't there. And granted, yeah, the defensive line did nobody favors, especially for the linebacker position. But you could just tell when you watched the games, Devin Bush showed little to no care, no aggression whatsoever. He was not the player that Kevin Colbert and company traded up to get in that 2019 draft.
Yeah, 10th overall. He's a top 10 selection. And that potential, like you said, is still there. He's 23. He's going to be 24 next month. So he's still young, and he's got bloodlines. Let's not forget that his father is a Super Bowl champion, Devin Bush Sr.
Right. So when you look at Devin Bush, man, you know, there's a lot of eyes on him this year. He's going to be very closely looked under the microscope for sure, especially after what he said on an interview he did with 93.7 The Fan, where he pretty much said, I have nothing to prove.
I don't think I got nothing to prove for real because, I mean, I'm a first rounder, I'm a top 10 pick, and that's never going to change. So, I mean, I don't think I got to prove anything to anybody. I think more so I just got to go out there and play football. And I think my mentality for real is going out there and being a football player again.
He has everything to prove in a contract year where he was declined the fifth-year option. His fifth-year option was not exercised by the Steelers front office. He has everything to prove this season.
And, yeah, he's a top 10 pick. He has that resume behind him, but, you know, you got to think of the mentality aspect. Would you want to, considering how young you still are, wouldn't you want to, you know, better yourself? Wouldn't you want to be better on that field to produce on the field every single week in the NFL?
Otherwise, if not, he's just conditioned to being, I was a top 10 pick. That's success to me. That's not success in the Pittsburgh Steelers way.
I don't know about you guys. I don't respect that mentality. I'm of that type of mentality to which you want to better yourself every single time you're on the field.
Exactly. And if you're not there to do that, why are you in the sport? It makes no sense.
Especially if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker wearing number 55.
Exactly. So, Devin Bush, man, he's going to be looked at very closely under the microscope this year, but he should have some benefit to him this year because not only is he under a great linebacker coach and defensive assistant and Brian Flores, who it seems like everyone on the defensive side of the football is excited to work with him because the energy seen in minicamp and OTAs and training camp come next month, everyone's excited.
Yeah, nothing but positive vibes, nothing but positive sayings about Brian Flores.
That energy is going to be great for this defense. And hopefully some of that transitions and bleeds into Devin Bush. But also, hopefully, I don't know if you can call it a resurrection because this guy really hasn't had a lot of bad years.
More so of a comeback season, let's say that. More of a comeback type of season for Devin Bush since the Steelers did acquire linebacker Myles Jack in free agency this offseason.
Right.
And we know the type of player Myles Jack is and has been when he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
So can Myles Jack, along with Brian Flores and company and all, can they bring the best out of Devin Bush in a contract year? Because we're all still rooting for Devin Bush. We all are. We were all excited when he was selected, when we traded up to get him. We had to because the linebacker situation for the last couple of years has been atrocious since the unfortunate play that took Shazier out.
Yeah.
And in fact, Myles Jack, right now, he hasn't even played in the Steelers uniform yet. He is the best linebacker we've had since Shazier. Honestly, we haven't even replaced Shazier. They've been temporary fill-ins. Bad ones at that. Yeah. Devin Bush looked like he was going to be the replacement, but that injury happened, and he hasn't mentally and physically been there. He hasn't showed what we saw in his rookie year. Now we got Myles Jack. Hopefully that absolutely brings positive vibes and brings out the true potential in Devin Bush. Hopefully that takes some weight off of Bush's shoulders and takes some responsibility off of that, since Jack is already that guy that can work in coverages, and Devin Bush can just work on sideline to sideline in the run game and filling gaps and working in the flats if he has to. Instead of being that true replacement, that true cover guy, Myles Jack can do that and limit Devin Bush's responsibilities, because I love his potential, but I don't think he has all that potential to be a number one as of right now.
Especially with his limitations in the NFL due to his size. He's a very small linebacker. He's only 5'11".
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
Myles Jack takes that responsibility and leaves Devin Bush to do what he's best at, which is speed, which is sideline to sideline, which is run stopping, which is working in the flats. That's where he'd see a lot of time. That's where he would make his money.
Yeah.
So can the Myles Jack Devin Bush combo work out tremendously for the core middle of our defense? I would hope so.
I really hope so, and I'm very confident in that aspect, because Myles Jack, hell of a player, still is a hell of a player. Had a few down years in Jacksonville, but I don't think it's entirely his fault.
No, it's not.
The Jaguars' coaching situation, I even say to this day.
Yeah, I mean,
it was awful.
It was terrible. We all know what's happening in Jacksonville, what has happened, the coaching changes, the different coordinators, moving Jack to different spots at linebacker. It didn't do him favors.
Yeah, he didn't have one role. He literally had all the roles.
Yeah.
Literally. He was tossed around like a hot potato.
Right, which obviously doesn't do any player any favors.
It doesn't. Now with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he has that primary role to be our number one.
But that also benefits Devin Bush in a lot of ways.
With him having to be the number two guy.
So I think that alone is really going to benefit Bush. I'm going to keep my expectations very standard, like this entire season, like everything happening on this team for this upcoming year. I don't know how it's going to happen. I might have a few predictions or hopes, but my expectations completely all year is going to be standard.
Yes, of course. And this is a different time in Pittsburgh. This is a new era in Pittsburgh.
This is a new era.
We can all speculate and we can all hope, just like me and Dan here have been doing, but we really don't know what's going to happen. So I think it's just best to keep our optimism at a very mere minimum, and just hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. And Devin Bush is right there as well with his expectations and his hopes. We obviously all hope he comes back to the rookie year and maybe he gets a one-year prove-it deal similar to Edmonds, I suppose. But as of now, we're going to keep our expectations pretty standard, pretty minimum, and then hopefully Devin Bush shows that rookie potential that he showed us a couple years back.
Yeah, of
course. If that's the case, man, him and Jack could be a really good duo.
Yeah, that speed, that athleticism, that talent, and with Brian Flores as the senior defensive assistant and linebackers coach to coach them, that are young as hell.
I love the makeup. Believe me, it's getting me excited just talking about it. Believe me,
on paper it looks fantastic,
and
I think it is bound to succeed. I really do hope so.
And it truly has the potential to be something really good for this defense. It really does, and that's a beautiful thing to think of. However, the execution, hopefully that, brings the expectations to fruition.
Yes, of course.
We shall see, though. But can Myles Jack bring the best out of Devin Bush? I hope so, and I do think so. But at the same time, I'm going to keep my expectations pretty minimum. But we shall see.
Same here.
We shall see. But let us know your guys' thoughts down below, man. Devin Bush, it's going to be a comeback year, hopefully. It's definitely going to be a prove-it year, but we shall see. You have all the tools to help around with you. A D-line that still could use a little work, but you have a great linebacker beside you to help. You have a great coaching staff. You got a great secondary behind you. So there's no more excuses at this point. Nope. And plus, you have had a full offseason to train. We've seen it. He looks fluid. He looks great. He looks explosive.
He looks refreshed.
So hopefully we get that same Devin Bush. We shall see. But let us know your guys' thoughts down below. See you guys in the next one.
Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!